Welcome to the Leader More podcast. Our motive is to pass on what we've found helpful over the years through leading teams, running operations, and dealing with life's challenges. We hope you enjoy. Stuff here. So Amanda Bradfield, welcome, warm welcome.
Thank you very
Coming
much.
up to the hills from Fremantle way on a
Yes.
Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
So,
The air is a little bit thinner up here, I think.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's why we're not as smart, I think, up here. You know, a few hillbillies and all that sort of thing.
I didn't say that. You said that.
You Fremantle folks say that, yeah.
We're all hippies down
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
free-loving spirits down in Fremantle.
Yeah. Logistics. So you spent, nearly 30 years in logistics, freight forwarding companies, and you've done account management roles, operations roles. You've done did you call it a runner? Was that what it was? One of your first roles?
In the very beginning, in the late 90s. I'm really showing my age now. I started out being a runner at EES Shipping. Yeah, that's right.
So what did that entail?
Oh, a runner back in those days, and it still wasn't, still would be picking up documents from shipping lines, taking them to transport companies, taking them to the terminals. We used to have to go and take cheques, actual proper cheques. I remember those back in the day, to different places and pay for things. It was great. It was good fun. It was great. We didn't know it back then, but we'd call it networking now. It was just going to chat with your friends for different companies, and it was really good. It was a really social job, but it made you learn how things worked. The passing of different documentation to different companies. We used to have to go to Customs House as well back in the day, and just doing those bits and pieces was really good, and that's how you learnt your job.
And you're out and about too.
Out and about. And I said, back in those days, you didn't have mobile phones. There was no contact at all with your company. You'd left. You'd left at 10, and you just go from place to place, and you could hide. No, didn't do a lot of that, but yeah. And I just got my license too, right? I was 17. So P-plates on and driving around the work vehicles, going from place to place, chatting to people. It was good fun. Yeah. It was great.
So there'd be like con notes, manifests, the whole think-a-boodle, things you take for granted that I suppose email and online portals do these days.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was great. It was really good fun. I miss it. I wish I could go back to being a runner sometimes.
And what, you just fell into it, or did you know someone that was working for that company?
Yeah, no, I fell into it. So I've only ever had a few jobs in my life, and my very first job was at Brumby's Bakery, and I was there when I was doing part-time 14-year-old. Sorry, I left high school at the end of year 10. I didn't much enjoy high school. I was quite smart. I wasn't the smartest, but I was probably middle of the range. I just didn't really enjoy high school at all. I didn't enjoy the experience.
Academically, socially, or a bit of both?
Bit of both. And it wasn't me. I know a lot of people stuck into high school and they stayed in because, they liked the social aspect of it. I really didn't. I had a couple of friends that I really liked, and I wasn't, overly popular. And I just didn't want to be there anymore. And I'd also seen that my family wasn't big on going to uni as well. Like they had their own business, and my brothers worked for them, and I watched that sort of happen organically, where my brothers just gravitated towards their business. Funnily enough, I didn't. I don't know if that's a sticking point or not, but that's probably a conversation for another day. And I left at end of year 10, and I actually started becoming the assistant manager at Brumby's Bakery when I was 16, and it was great because I'd been working there for a few years, and they trusted me, and it was great. But I hurt my knee. Just weirdly had a really bad knee injury. I was trying on a dress.
Okay.
And I was wiggling into this dress. It's kind of awful, but and it just fell to the ground. And the doctor that looked at my knee said it was like a hockey player's injury that got hit with a hockey stick. And it's like my bone sheared through the cartilage and whatnot. I had several surgeries on it, and it just meant that I couldn't stand up for long periods of time at the counter. So I had to go find another job, and I went to a job placement place where they taught me how to type and did a few things. And all of a sudden this interview came up, and they said, "Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Sure." And I went there and did the interview, and I don't know if I nailed it or not, but I turned up to the interview, and the shipping was born. Yeah, the shipping industry. Yeah. So I didn't know anything about it. I think at 17, unless your parents are involved in some sort of shipping, I don't think you know anything about shipping. I didn't care how the goods get into the store. But started out doing the running. And
was there a little bit of, like, finishing year 10, like a little bit of a stigma there? It was like, what am I doing? Like, I know. Reason why I ask is we've both got teenage daughters, right?
Yes.
So it's sort of hard. Like you're now forced to give advice, right? And we've just got our own experiences to go off and, figuring things out. But back in, the 90s and 2000s, it's like going to uni was the thing. You should finish year 12 and go to university, right? And now it's probably not so much, which I totally agree. I never went to uni, and I think it's...
I don't know. I think it depends on your upbringing, I guess. I mean, like I said, my parents, owned their own business, and they weren't pushing me towards that. I knew that a lot of my friends that I did have were going to uni, but I didn't have that drive. I thought spending another X amount of years learning
and money,
and money exactly was not where I wanted to be, and I did end up getting quite a big head start on a lot of my friends that did go to uni, and a lot of my friends that went to uni never ended up doing what they actually went to uni for. Yeah. So they spent all this money learning how to do something and then getting out into the real world and just going, oh, that's not for me. So whereas, I've sort of said to my children, so my eldest is in year 12 this year, she's not doing her ATAR. Okay. Academically, she's actually quite clever, but doesn't do well with sitting exams, funnily enough. Doesn't do well with the pressure. And seeing what I've done over the years, I guess, and knowing that I never had a tertiary background in that way, she's kind of gone, well, have at it.
Can be done.
Can be done, exactly right. And you can go out there and make some money and get that head start on your other cohort in the community and just, see what you can do out there. She still doesn't have a clue what she's going to do. I keep threatening her with coming into the shipping industry.
By this stage...
There's jobs if she wants it.
Well, it's hard. Like, it's sort of... I don't know. I found that I just focus on... Because how the hell do you know what you want to do? Yeah, and you end up making this decision and then reverse engineering the university courses that you've got to do. Like, and mine's always been, well, what do you enjoy? What are your interests? So do that. And if that's a subject or if that's a course or whatever that is, or if that's a job, go and do that. Don't just do university because you think you sort of want to get into health or
Yeah, no.
But it's so hard for them.
It is hard. And I think that, but what do you want to do? I want to do TikToks the rest of my life. I mean, you're probably that's what she's interested in. I mean, look, people have done it, right? People are doing it. Yeah. And I guess that sometimes that for them, that might be a little bit of a pie in the sky kind of idea. But if you've got a bit of now, so you probably could quite good. I mean, she's very good on that sort of side of things, but I'm sort of pushing her more towards communications, right? Yeah. And finding a job in communications where you can use that talent, design talent, graphic art talent, any sort of communications talent into the comms business. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where she ends up.
Yeah. Oh, fun times. So,
yeah, you're not wrong.
So doing runner, what did you end up after that?
Imports. So mainly my background was always in imports, import sea freight, import air freight. The company that I was working for was mainly sea freight at the time. Just doing that. As you do it more and more, obviously becoming an operator, you learn more and more about the clients and the client side of things as well. And it led me to becoming key account manager. So more servicing the clients and going out to see the clients, which is always fun. And any type of desk job that you have, it's always good to have a bit of background in what the client does or what the client imports or exports. And actually going out to see what they bring in is always more fun than just sitting there reading it on a manifest. Yeah. I really enjoyed that part of the business and enjoyed that client relationship side of things. Yeah.
So essentially, you're just supporting businesses to get their freight where they need to get it, whether that be air, sea or road, right?
Yeah, that's right. So freight forwarders are the middleman between the clients and their suppliers. We're the ones that coordinate the movement of freight from one place to the other or from end to end. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed just following you on LinkedIn is that how much you would know about the world, right? Just you think about it, okay?
It's true. It's true.
Geography,
yeah,
a big one. Different cities and their histories, different cultural backgrounds with different holidays that happen around the world.
Yeah,
and
I think that's probably the most interesting one. Yeah,
there's that. How conflicts and politics affect shipping, and different things like that.
It's true. Actually, I looked at the moon this morning and I said to one of my friends that I swim with, I'm like, oh, crescent moon, isn't that the end of Eid? And he went, I don't know. And I went, I think it is. That's what it indicates. But it's always like, it's funny, you'd be quiet around different times of the year and you'd say, Chinese New Year's next year. And my friends would look at me like, how do you know it's Chinese New Year next year? Yeah. But for any importer, operator, it's the quietest time for them. So they really look forward to Chinese New Year because the email traffic drops and they get a little bit of a break. But it's weird because you get to put these dates on a calendar, whereas no one else would get to know them or need to know them, I guess, yeah.
Well, even like boring stuff like economy, like what we import, what we export, like you'd get a bit of an idea of that and how towns support that trade and, and then the families that support, like it's interesting, all that sort of thing.
It's quite intricate, yeah, definitely. But you touched on the geopolitical side of things before, and that's wild right now. Yeah. We're having a lot of issues, not just within shipping, but globally as well. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of different changes, and those changes are happening usually while we sleep.
Yeah, when Trump's out doing some truths.
Yeah, Truth Social, and we wake up and we're like, oh gosh, what's happened now?
Yeah. Well, he would probably have thrown in a heap of spanners in the works, right? Like just because he is erratic with that sort of stuff to a certain extent, right?
It's erratic and it's hard to know sometimes. You mentioned before about LinkedIn. It's sometimes hard when I put things out on LinkedIn. You've kind of got to fact check a lot of things. You've got to put things out there. You've got to be sometimes a little bit ambiguous because there's someone out there that's going to know more about things than what you do, and that's always the way, and that's fair enough. But you put something out there, and it's probably changed anyways. In the 5 minutes, or if I've scheduled sometimes some LinkedIn posts, something's changed in the last 3 or 4 hours. So sometimes you have to sort of almost timestamp when you drafted that LinkedIn post because things have changed between then. And I think that's uncertainty, that erraticness is what's causing a lot of issues right now. Nothing is consistent. Nothing is continuous. Yeah.
That whole Iran thing, is that mainly because it's
like
pushing
how you call it that whole Iran thing?
Yeah, it's there's a bit there, isn't there? But like, is that mainly just the diesel prices particularly that sort of will affect things from a logistics point of view, or is there some issues because of that Strait of Hormuz and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of vessels still stuck in the Upper Gulf region, and that's concerning from an industry point of view, from a seafarer welfare point of view, and there's also a big issue for the shipping lines with their vessels stuck in there. So their assets are in there. They're not only their vessels, their containers and their crew are all stuck in the Upper Gulf region. They can't get through. That's a big problem, obviously, with the fuel prices as well. Domestically, we're seeing those increase, but they're also increasing on the water as well. So the bunker prices for vessels have increased a lot. So the shipping lines are also passing that down, which is understandable. And I think a lot of people understand that. Shipping lines notoriously have not been too kind and in introducing charges. And a lot of the time, the lack of transparency around how these charges are introduced or how they've come about is a difficult one for people to understand. There's no formula.
They just pass them on.
It's that'll be the fee, right? And how do they come about that fee is the problem. So not necessarily the fee that's the problem. It's how it's come about or how they've measured that fee. And it's probably the same at the fuel pumps, I'd imagine. It's like, well...
Miraculously, it's cheaper on Wednesdays all the time.
I know, right? I'm going to go full up. And I've noticed it's still actually cheap today and it's Thursday. It's a very strange thing. So, with containerised cargo especially, they charge per container or per 20 foot. If it's a 40 foot, they charge that twice. So that's per what they call TEU.
Yeah.
So, but it's like, how did you get to that price? And there's not really an answer for that. I think that's probably the hardest.
Because you're the meat in the sandwich there, right? Like,
yeah, for a freight forwarder, we're definitely meat in the sandwich. So the freight forwarders themselves don't own any assets on the ocean. Usually you're dealing with a shipping line. There's some freight forwarders that do, luckily enough, own vessels. But again, it comes at such a cost, right? Shipping lines themselves own the vessels. They're the ones that have the risk. So we talk about the Straits of Hormuz. It's a problem for insurance, of course, as well. So those insurance fees have gone up. And again, it's passed down the line, right? And the end consumer is the one that ultimately is the one that takes that cost. So Australian exporters right now are really quite suffering with the fees because a lot of those exporters have had cargo on the water heading to those regions that have copped extra fees. Not only that, some of the goods are chilled cargo, cargo that requires refrigeration, and with these extra lead times, or with cargo being dropped off at different ports, they've now find that the cargo is not as good a quality anymore, and now there's obviously some claims going on in the background.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in that space, and a lot that is, once you start unpacking it and start unraveling it, it just all just comes apart.
What's that like though? Like navigating that as a freight forwarder? Is that like, I don't want to make this call, or sending this email? Like, is it? I imagine relationships is a massive one for you.
It is.
Right?
It is a massive one, and being able to explain. So communication's one of the biggest things that lacks sometimes in the freight forwarding industry, and in any business. I think you'll find, right? You'll probably say the same thing. If you don't talk to your clients, you don't make them understand and the situation. Some of this stuff is hard to understand. It's hard to communicate, but you need to communicate it. Even if there is something changing all the time, it still needs to be communicated. I think the best communicators always come out on top in that way.
As a client, you don't care if something's gone wrong, but it's like, tell me what's happened. Let me know, pretty soon.
Yeah.
Be quick with it, and let me know what you're going to do. That's cool.
Exactly.
Things go south. Like, what's going to happen?
Worst thing you can do is hide it.
Yeah.
Right. in any way, shape or form, and just not communicate, because
it doesn't make those conversations easier though, man. Does it?
They're going to know when their cargo doesn't arrive, or if it arrives 3 weeks late. I mean, they're going to know that. Yeah. So I think that for me, communication is one of the biggest keys for these sort of situations.
Is it pretty like fragile though? That whole network, things just turn up at your front door, right? It's like, oh yeah, amazing. It's just arrived. But like, I imagine there's obviously a lot of moving parts.
There's a lot. It's probably more fragile than what you'd want to think about. I spend many hours awake at night, not just worrying about that, but worrying about other things as well. That's in there. We saw COVID. COVID was it shone a big spotlight into the industry, the shipping industry, and it really showed the fragility of the whole network. There's a lot of things that need to go right for things to work well. We found during COVID there was a big surge in cargo moving around the world. Everyone was at home, buying things with their extra money they got given by the government or what have you. They're in lockdown, they're bored, they need to exercise, they're buying weights, they're doing this, they're doing that. There was a massive surge of cargo which increased the price of everything globally around the world, and we just saw bottleneck after bottleneck after bottleneck popping up that hadn't been exposed in quite such a way before. And we found that the shipping industry itself became very, very visual very, very quickly, but then suddenly went back out of the spotlight again pretty quickly. So these sorts of issues, you find that the Straits issue in the Middle East, it all comes back up again. And I'm not so sure we've learned our lessons from things that happened during COVID. I think there's many things that we could be changing, but again, changes take time, changes take money. And not all governments obviously want to be on board with some changes. So it's very, very difficult.
Well, I reckon that would be interesting, like doing a little bit of research about what you do is, again, to that scenario of things just turn up and it's comfortable. People would just get used to that. But you actually need to know or do know, all these little intricate things, like how fast a ship moves, what ports are the slowest, what are the quickest, Fremantle, is it behind again? Like, what are all these things that are going on?
Nobody wants to know how the sausage is made, trust me.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, like that practical sense, like that interests me, understanding all that. I was reading up about that Westport project, and Fremantle, they lose the dockers and now they're losing the port, right? All going on. But, like understanding the reasons why behind that, and then you think about it from a warehousing point of view or any business point of view. It's like, okay, well, they've got issues with access. They've got issues with getting more land, and issues with ships coming in, and then also with that access of getting it out. So, okay, well, what can we do? It's not going to last. We've got throughput that needs to increase, all these things people just don't realise. It's just a lot.
No. And often I think that they don't want to realise, right? Like at the end of the day, there's so many things that go on behind, I guess, any business's scenes that you like I said, you don't want to know how what happens. You just want to get your cargo here. Westport's an interesting one. Westport's been on the on the books now for many, 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 many years, and anyone in the industry would probably, sort of, it's within the industry, it's been a bit of a thing, like, a bit of a roll of the eyes, and most people that are coming up towards my age would just be like, it's not going to happen in my lifetime, right? So it's been happening for so long that most people believe it's not going to happen. Yeah. We know it's going to happen, but the timeline will blow out. The timeline's blowing out. And whilst there is that need for something else, Fremantle Ports itself is still able to work the ships and move that freight. It's just that some of the infrastructure does need some upgrading, which Fremantle Ports are working on, which is a good thing for the industry, but it's taking a bit of time. Yeah. We have some bad weather sometimes in Fremantle. We have high winds that does cause delays to the terminals, and we have a harbour master that's also quite cautious, and sometimes the harbour will be evacuated during the high winds, which it's good for safety, but it's not also good for the productivity. And you
adds a little bit more work to you.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand it. And the fronts are forecast, but they don't always come to fruition. But of course, in order of safety, we've evacuated the port. So it can get a little bit tetchy around about winter time. Yeah. It's always a hot topic of conversation within industries, Fremantle Ports. Yeah. And the ports, I think, for the whole of Australia. Yeah.
Being, someone who's lived and, been around Fremantle is that a bit of a sad thing, that the port will eventually move?
Yeah, incredibly so. I love seeing the cranes when I go into Fremantle. And those that know me know that, frequent the wharf area quite often. That sounds a bit suspicious, but I do enjoy being down there. And I did recently move the office to Fremantle. So that's where I wanted to be. And being in that west end of Fremantle is really quite enjoyable. And you can look down the street, you can literally see the cranes down at DP World and doing their thing when they are. So no, it's really, I really enjoy it. And again, it makes it more tangible, right? So we talk about the documentation that we used to handle when we're runners. If you're just sitting in an office that's off-site, you don't see the working port. And I think that once the port is out of Fremantle, albeit, in 15 years' time, let's say, it's going to be sad not to be seeing those vessels coming in and out of the harbour.
Yeah, well, it's a shipping community, right? Yeah, and you think about it, like, what is it going to have? Some parasailing boats and some ferries. If things change, you get it, but it would be a sad day for the town.
I think so too, because Fremantle always has been a working port for years and hundreds of years. Yeah. So I think it will be quite sad.
Yeah, that's the logistical stuff that you learnt early on, right, and how things moved, and is that something that you would love to teach to someone if you were to employ them, starting out, that nuts and bolts stuff, they just wouldn't understand it as much now. I just click this button.
Yeah. So the way that things have gone electronically, it's really stopped some of the learning and stopped some of those entry-level jobs coming in through the industry. So we are lacking in new talent coming through, which is very, very hard. It's not a very sexy industry, is shipping. I think it is, personally. I think there's many things about it that's quite attractive. And the longevity of this industry is something that can't be ignored. We look about, we think about AI and we think about things like that coming through. There's still going to be a place for a person doing that job. There's still going to be a place for shipping. And I think that, yes, I would love to definitely teach somebody from the ground up, because there's so much knowledge inside my head that needs to come out at some point before I start forgetting it, before the brain fog sets in even more. But I do believe that it's getting more difficult to get people in. Offshoring is happening within the industry. There's a lot of people are offshoring their those entry level jobs, the data entry level jobs. To other countries, which is definitely helping on their bottom line. Yeah, it's cheaper. It's much cheaper, but we are lacking that talent coming through. We're getting older, and there's the young ones aren't coming through as much. And again, I look at talent day, like the talent days that they have during for high schools. So the high school, what do they call them? They have those days when they come in and
Yeah, I
people
know,
showcase
career
career
day,
days.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
that's the ones. Yeah, they showcase those jobs. I know there's certain people in the industry that are pushing for logistics to come in more into those because again, it's such a big industry. It's not just about shipping. It's not just about air freight. We're talking warehousing. We're talking trucking. So the trucking industry is also lacking in people coming through as well. We're talking there's accounts jobs that you can do in the shipping industry. It's not just operations for shipping. It's accounts, there's sales, there's that warehousing, there's that 3PL picking, packing side of things if you're more that way inclined. So there's so many different jobs that you can do within the shipping industry that is, like I said, like accounts. If you like your numbers, you could do that.
Yeah, all those support services, like anything from HR,
Correct.
Marketing,
Yep.
all that sort of
Yep.
stuff, customer service type roles, operations management, like
Exactly.
there's lots of different things.
Yeah, it's not just one thing. It's multifaceted.
Yeah,
There's so many
you
different
can
ways.
move into.
Yeah.
Like I always looked at warehousing, right, with a little bit of background in that, and we would look at university students because it's like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to go and work retail? Stand in a shop, face to face with customers,
Yeah.
or work in a warehouse
Yeah.
where it's undercover. We can do afternoon shift, you can do day shift, you can do 2 shifts, 3 shifts, 5 shifts, whatever you want to do that
Yeah.
works around your, whether it's your studies or whether if you're having a gap year, like there's and
There's
it's good money
flexibility.
too.
Yeah, there's
really.
flexibility and there is good money. Customs brokers, when goods come into the country, they need to be cleared through customs, and customs brokers are also becoming very scarce in the industry because, again, not many people want to do that, but they're very high paying. Yes, you've got to you go to school and you have to learn it, but they're very high paying jobs and they're very good jobs. So these are things that people don't always think about when they think about.
What's a custom broker do? What do they?
They classify the goods coming in, so they're actually the ones that work out like how much duty is being paid on the shipment. They're the ones dealing with the border force and with like the Department of Agriculture, so the quarantine side of things.
Quarantine
Yeah,
stuff.
so it's interesting, right? And if you're that way inclined, it's a great job.
Yeah, you'd be down on the, down with the containers
You
and
can
get
do,
to
yeah.
check it out
Yep,
and
yep.
seeing what's going on.
Yeah, so we think even for my daughter, I often did say to her as well, like if you don't want to be a customs broker, which is customs brokers will work in a freight forwarding company or they can work on their own standalone, there is that Australian Border Force. So like you see on, Border Security
yeah.
or the Department of Agriculture as well, which does the plant side of things and the bugs and that sort of thing. Yeah, and those are all great pathways for anybody, right? Government jobs as well.
There's just lots of stuff in there, and you're right. Like career day, no one will talk about that.
No,
It's just,
I asked my daughter what was at their career day, and it was physios and dentists and unis. You know what I mean? It was very much directed towards people that were going to uni and getting those jobs, after going to uni. But it's like, well, what about right now if they want to leave year 12? What jobs are out there? No one's really talking about those jobs as well, and definitely no one's talking about this industry.
Yeah,
which is sad.
And even if you do zero in on something you want to do, how do you even know that it's something that and then you're going to study it, and am I going to enjoy studying it? And then if I do enjoy studying, am I going to enjoy it when it actually?
Yeah.
There's so much, but anyway, it's
There's so much
There's lots
in that.
of. So after account management, you went into operations management? Is that
I
right?
was ops manager before that.
Oh,
and,
you
and
were.
care
Yeah,
account
yeah.
after
Okay.
that. Yeah.
So you turned to the dark side after operations management. You're one of those pesky account promising things.
No, it's a good thing. It's a
All
good
right.
thing because you know what your parameters are, right?
Yeah,
There's
okay.
nothing worse than a salesperson that goes out and sells something that the operations people are going to go, we can't do that.
Yeah, well, there's always that friction between the
It's
two.
always that
Okay,
friction.
so you're saying you were good at it because you were.
Oh.
I got it.
I wouldn't go and telling everyone I was good at it,
Yeah.
but
It would have helped.
you knew the background, right? You knew the background of the job, and you knew the parameters, and you knew what you could and couldn't do, and what not to promise, right? I mean, no one wants to be promised first free day for their container to be delivered because quite often it can't happen.
Yeah. Like rolling through all those positions, though, like Amanda, like what was it firstly that kept you in that same company? Was it just the environment was good?
Yeah,
you
it was definitely
enjoyed
the
the work?
environment. Yeah, the environment and enjoying the work. Every day is different. Even now, some almost 30 years on, every day is different. Like you wake up in the morning, you think your day is going to go like this. It's not going to go like this. Like it's going to be, there's going to be some sort of curveball being thrown in. So you learn so much, right? You're never bored. My daughter seems to think my job is boring. It's not boring. You just sit at a computer all day.
Mum's
Yes,
boring anyway,
but
regardless of what they do.
exactly. But no, it's never boring, and you're always dealing with something different, right? It's that difference, difference of days that I enjoy.
Moving into roles though and having the confidence to do that, like did you, was that a bit of a stretch sometimes? Did you?
No, most of that felt natural. It was just that next step that you take. I think that probably the bigger stretch that I did make was the move out of that company that I was so comfortable in for 28 years.
Yeah.
That was a big stretch for me. I'm not a risk taker. I am very risk averse. I am
Okay.
no, do not take a lot of risks. And so that was kind of that was difficult. That was difficult for me, and it was difficult to leave a company that were family to me, and I'd grown up with as well. So that was very difficult.
Yeah, it would have been a sad day for sure. And you think about, people that would have been there when you started and seen you as this, fresh little kid to growing into the woman, it would have been really lovely.
Yeah, no, it was definitely. So the company was started by the guy's dad, and then they took over from there, and I was actually a little bit older than them. So, I'd seen them grow up, not by much. I mean, I'm talking 2, 3, 4 years. And you've seen them grow up, and we kind of all grew up together. So, no, that was very, very hard. Yeah, definitely.
Why move then? What was it?
I felt like I just needed a new challenge, right? So you mentioned before about LinkedIn. I'd been doing a fair bit of writing, a fair bit of doing sort of different things in the background in my own personal time, and I was enjoying that storytelling side of things, and getting that more of that, getting the word out about the industry. And then, this position came up, and I thought that it would be a good spot for me, something different and a different challenge, just to shake it up a little bit because, clearly I didn't have enough challenge in my personal life to deal with that. But it's just one of those things. It seemed like a natural progression too.
What was that like though? Like interview process and things like that, and the nerves and the
and that was hard. That was hard because again you weren't 100% sure, and you never know, I guess, until you take that leap as well. It's something I did think about but didn't think about overly, because you don't want to talk yourself out of things, right? 28 years in one company is not really heard of, and especially not the shipping industry. It can be quite promiscuous in their moving around of people to different companies. Whereas 28 years, most people were like, well, you've been there for 28 years, like you're such a unicorn. Some people thought it was a very good thing, and other people would spin it on the negative side. And I think that's hard too. Like, people would say, oh, you should have moved on years ago. People were like, oh my God, you never had that anymore. You're so loyal. And you kind of felt torn, right? You always felt a little bit torn because there's pros and cons. Always pros and cons. So leaving felt weird. You felt a bit naked. You felt a bit exposed. So the interview process was good. I really enjoyed the interview process, and again, dealing with new people was different again because you got people that knew you for so long and know you for so long. Yeah, it was like this weird fresh start where, I had 6-month probation. You're like, 46 years old, I'm on probation again. So those sorts of things are a little bit difficult, but you understandably, that's the way it is. But and then I had, of course, this opportunity to start my own thing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not a risk taker, but I've started my own business. Yeah.
Didn't think about it. It was strange the way it came about. I was approached by someone and sort of said, look, what do you think? And I went, I could do it. It's hard when you have different, I guess, you want to do different things. In your day, you want to do different things. You want to speak to different people. You want to go to different events. We talked before about some events and whatnot. And I knew that if I started at another company, that it'd be difficult for me to perhaps do some of the things that I like to do, and the people I like to speak to, I couldn't maybe speak to anymore. So, I thought, well, the only person that's not going to tell me what to do is myself. But pros and cons to everything, right? Yeah. You're now responsible for everything.
Yeah. So you sort of found like leaving, after a long time, that freedom and a little bit of your autonomy was sort of gone. And it's like, okay, well, because you don't strike me as someone that enjoys 9-to-5 work, right? Like you're a little bit wired and a little bit different to that, I would say. So you're doing this stuff for 28 years, it like the back of your hand, and you can do all this weird problem-solving stuff, I imagine, is a big
Yeah.
part of the role for 28 odd years. And it's like, okay, well, I can do this, and it's boring. It's not boring, probably not the right word, but you know what I mean? It's a bit challenging.
Yeah, it is a bit challenging. Problem solving does come into play with shipping. It definitely, everyone that would be involved in shipping would say that that's what they do a lot of. The shipping wise, you're pivoting a lot. You're looking for different alternatives for complex issues that some clients will have. You're always problem solving, and you're always trying to communicate those different ways in which you can do stuff for people. But definitely not a risk taker, but definitely wanted to try something different.
So
something
you're
new.
approached and someone's just planted a bit of a seed?
Yeah, someone planted a bit of a seed, and you know yourself, running a business and starting a business is a lot of costs. Someone's got that, which is great. You've just got to run the business now and do the business.
Well, there's a lot of responsibility, like you were saying. You got to deliver right on that investment, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Because there's an element of work's always, this is what I found, work was always coming in, run operations and lead teams. There's always something you've got to do, right? There's something coming your way that you've just got to deal with. Coaching a team, same thing. You've got a group of people you got to get ready by this day, and it's all there waiting for you. You just got to work it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas when you start your own business, it's like, well, I've got to go and find all that work. I've got to get it in, then I've got to work it,
Yeah.
Like that. How did you find that transition?
It's challenging. You've got to wear so many different hats at once. And don't get me wrong, in the past jobs, I have been used to wearing different hats, but now you're wearing hats that you've never worn before. And I think that that's probably the trickiest thing. I'm not big on numbers. So the account side of things has been a little bit tricky for me. BAS and GST, things like that, that I was never really exposed to before. That's been tricky. Like you say, trying to find clients, trying to find new clients, trying to not lead with, I guess, your experience, because these people are people that you don't know, right? And then you've got to sort of prove yourself to them. So that's been a little bit challenging. Yeah.
That sales approach, right, is a hard one, because you don't want to be pushy, but you also need to bring in work, right? So that balance of, I just want to be myself, and I won't be too pushy, and I won't this and that. But it gets to the point sometimes where it's like, Jesus, maybe I need to be pushy here. I need this. I need to get this across the line, or I'd really like to get this across the line. I know that I can support the business and help them out. Like I back myself, right? But
it's all about building that trust, right? And I think that's what takes a lot of time sometimes with some clients, and showing your worth. Freight forwarders, there's a lot of us around. There's a lot of freight forwarders. I guess showing that difference, your point of difference between the freight forwarder down the road and yourself, is always going to be a bit of a challenge. Price point comes down to a lot of things with freight forwarding as well. Importers are always watching their bottom line, exporters too. So that's been challenging, trying to grapple around that. Nobody wants the 1980s sales guy, that car sales guy, right? Yeah. Nobody wants that. But yeah, you're right. Trying to find that balance between being that pushy person and just sitting back going, I'm sure they'll contact me soon.
Yeah.
But it's also getting out of your comfort zone and making sure you're just not sending, emails and then, wondering, did they get that email?
Yeah.
Or, did you get my email? Sending that one out again. That's always
So what have you found helped in that process? Like, is it, and I get that you're still going to be, figuring it out. Like I'm figuring it out, right? But like,
I'm 6 weeks in. How many years are you in?
I'm still figuring it out. Yeah. But like, your background with building relationships and working in operations and getting things done, it's not natural to market yourself all the time.
It's uncomfortable. I think that I'm not saying I want to be everyone's friend, but I find selling yourself is the uncomfortableness. I'm fine to chat and fine to do the thing, but I think that stopping that to try and convert it into a sale or convert it into trying to tell someone about your services, that's uncomfortable sometimes for me, and I know for a lot of people. I'm much better face-to-face than what I am on the phone, so I find that the drop-in is often a lot better, the bit of the ambush. But you've got to be careful with that too, because that can go one or two ways. Either people are happy to see you, or they're like, why why you're here now. I'm going into a meeting, so you've got to balance that out. But yeah, I find the face-to-face contact is much more genuine than an email or a phone call.
And I imagine too, with your personality, that's your, I suppose, let's say selling point. Like that's your brand as such with end-to-end logistics. Like you're very much about this is what we stand for and how we do things.
Yeah, it's just myself and my partner Michelle. She's more internal in the office, but she's there to back up and do that sort of day-to-day running of it. Whereas, you're right. I'm sort of more out there trying to drive the business and to sell the business. It is very personal, right? So the space in which I guess we sit in is more that hand-holding side of things for people. So people that are new importers, new exporters, we generally focus on the importing side of things though. We like to work with those people. So people that are brand new, don't know what they're doing. Either they've got cargo on the water that they need help with. They thought it was going to be delivered to their door, and now all of a sudden they've got a notice to say that it's here, and you've got to get it customs cleared and get it off the wharf before it starts going under storage. So those are the ones we really like to deal with. So one of the first shipments that I've actually handled in the new business was one that nobody else wanted to handle. Literally, they'd called around to 5 or 6 different people, and all of them said, no, not going to help you. They've got to me, and to be honest with you, my first thought was, this is not the hill that I want to die on, because this seemed very, very, it could go pear-shaped. It was a very ugly shipment. It was a very small air freight that had come in, and it was it was come from Tonga. It was a prayer mats, but they're made of some things that probably Australian quarantine doesn't want in here. We're talking bark, and we're talking grasses and things like that. And of course, every other broker had just gone, no, not for me. And I've gone, well, this is actually like the business model that we've got. We're here to help people, and we did, and we helped these people, and they got their cargo, and they were so happy. And funnily enough, they ended up picking it up from my house. It was only 50 kilos, it wasn't that big, and I got to hug the person whose freight it was, because she was so happy that someone actually had helped her out. And I also got some chocolates and some wine. So there you go. My kids were like, is that chocolates? And I'm like, it sure is.
Take the difficult job.
Exactly. And again, at the end of the day, that's what it was all about. And it's literally about helping those people that bigger freight forwarders just don't have the time to, don't have the crew to, don't have maybe the communication skills to deal with that. And don't get me wrong, it could have gone completely pear-shaped on me, but it didn't. And I was so happy for that.
Lucky you're a risk taker then, hey? Yeah.
I closed my eyes and I just did it.
Yeah. Well, although starting a new business, I'd imagine getting things done as a freight forwarder, though, is like very much based on all the relationships you've built up in the industry. Like you guys are, you don't have a fleet of trucks, and you don't have someone sitting in customs, all that. So there's all these relationships that you've built up over nearly 30 years that's how you're able to get things done, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I don't claim to know everything. I certainly do not. But I know people that may know that thing. Yeah. So it's all about that networking. It's all about building the connections around you, because no one can know everything, but that guy over there, he knows a bit about that, so I can call him. And leaning in on those relationships has been it's been really handy, and people have been so supportive. I don't know about you when you started out, but the majority of people have been so supportive and so kind and willing to offer their time, and that meant a lot. That's meant a lot to me, and that still continues now.
Yeah, well, yeah, I totally agree, and I just look at business owners now so differently. You think about a shopping centre, and you see a family that's got a just like a food outlet at a shopping centre. And they've got to be there all day long. Yeah. They've got to be there on weekends. Their kids are doing homework out the back on milk crates. Like, I look at that and I go, geez, I've got it easy. Like, this puts it in perspective. The overheads in a shopping centre, your whole family, you can't leave. You got no weekends. You don't want to pay anyone because you don't want the overhead. You want it for your family.
It's very true. I walked past a barber shop the other day and there was no one in there. And I thought, when I was starting this out, there were so many questions around money and how much your turnover is expected to be, and this and that, and I don't know. Yeah. This is brand new, and I was thinking, how does the coffee shop down the road or the barber shop down the road know and estimate how many people are going to walk through their door every day? Yeah. How do they know that they're going to make payroll every week? And I think that that's super scary for them as well. I mean, for a freight forwarding business, you do expect that, you know, you've got some clients, you've got maybe some core clients that will follow you. You've got some income coming in, and of course, the word of mouth.
Yeah.
You hope that it will swing your way, right? But these people, like you say, it's hard starting out. It's hard to
I
maintain.
think people who have been involved with starting their own business or, you know, and running it is just, they're so, I don't know, they're just so helpful because they know what it's like, right?
Yeah,
Like, and
it's really tough. And I said to you before that, like, people have said, like, you're so brave, and I'm like, I don't feel brave. I feel sleep deprived.
Yeah.
I don't feel brave. But no, it's been challenging. It's been challenging.
Well,
6 weeks in.
But why though? Like, you know, like you're, you know, I won't say your age by any means because that's rude.
Say my age.
No, but it's like you think about it though, where you are in life, you've built this career, you know, through a lot of hard work, a really strong reputation within the industry. You've got some teenage daughters, right? Like you've got a bit going on probably at home. You know, like there's lots going on in your life, and you know, you're not in your 20s. Like you're not, you know, like it's so like why? Like, and you're not a risk taker.
No.
Like, what was it that pushed you over to really jump into it?
Ultimately, I do think it's the fact that there's a spot in the market for a smaller freight forwarder that is there to hold hands, to build those relationships, to handle those 1 or 2 shipments for that person that only does 1 or 2 shipments a year, that doesn't mean anything to the bigger freight forwarders, to be that support for people, to be that middleman that gives a shit, right? Like one of our mottos is where every step matters, because every step along the way does matter. And that for us was the core purpose around the whole business. That's what we built the business around, is where every step matters. It's the reason why I couldn't turn this poor client away.
Yeah.
After 5-6 brokers had done. And part of me went, oh, this could be a bit of a, it could cost you a bit of money, but I thought about it on the other side of the, but who am I if I turn them away as well? This is where we've set ourselves up in the market. We've put ourselves in that spot where this is what we want. This is the cargo we want. We have to do that. So I think that's what it was. End of the day, if you went to another freight forwarder, there's plenty of other opportunities to go to the established companies, absolutely. But you're going with their morals, with what they want to do, and that the way in which they run the business. The only way for me to do what I wanted to do was to do this. Yeah, and I think that's what it was. I don't think, for me, it was not a brave thing. It wasn't it was a big commitment. It was a big thing. But for me, it was where I needed to be. Yeah.
And you've just seen over your years, you know, customers like the one with the mats just be neglected, and you've that's how you knew that there was that market there.
Yeah, exactly.
Just people needing help and not being able to get it.
Yeah, and that's understandable from a big company point of view, right?
Yeah, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it, right? It's you know, make $200-300, and it's not worth it for them. They've got the big clients to deal with. But there is these small time importers out there that just need a bit of help with things, and they need that person to explain to them what a packing declaration is, or why this needs to happen, or why that happens. But there's not a lot of time taken out to communicate those steps along the way that really do matter. Yeah.
How was it a long period of thinking about doing it, or no? It was just like, okay, I'm doing it.
Funnily enough, not at all. Yeah, pretty much. And kind of when I put my mind to something, and once I've set my mind on something, once I've actually said it out loud, I usually follow through with it.
Pretty stubborn.
Yeah, sometimes to my own detriment, but it's you get to that point in your life, and you mentioned my age before. I'm 46 years old. I'll be 47 this year.
I didn't say.
And I do have to forget. And I was talking to a lady who's around about my vintage, and she was like, you know, what are we doing? Why are we doing this to ourselves? And I'm like, I don't know. But it's tough. It's tough as a woman going through the things that women go through at 46 years old, perimenopause and whatnot. And raising 2 children. So I didn't mention it before, but I'm actually a single parent. So, you know, we separated 4 or 5 years ago now. So it's harder still. It's an added level on it too. And, you know, two teenage now girls, oof, I tell you. If the business doesn't give me a run for my money, my children sure will.
Yeah, no. Well, it's probably primed you, you know, dealing with levels of stress. If you can deal with your teenage daughters, you can deal with the business.
To deal with anything. It's true.
It's probably one of those ones, though, Amanda, if you actually thought it through, you'd probably talk yourself out of it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly right. Exactly right. And in being in the industry for so long, you do build this kind of resilience, I guess, to challenges and to commitment to things. And yeah, exactly. You would definitely talk yourself out. We talk about like I said before, the industry is so interesting, and it's such a great industry to be in, and the friendships that you create, the networks that you create. I mean, you know, I was talking to someone the other day, and I was just saying how, you know, even though we are competitors, we are still friends, and we still care about each other, and you don't have that sort of behaviour in most industries. Whereas, you know, we are competitors, but we are still very friendly with one another, and I think that kind of brings you along the way and keeps you in as well.
Yeah. Has that always been the way, that your experience, like over the 30 years? It's like, I'd imagine it'd be a bit of a rough and tumble environment at times through different companies, like, you know, and going through a period as well of, you know, working in the 90s and 2000s and 2010. Like, you know, there's a lot of change socially throughout that, you know, whether it's in, you know, how people are treated in workplaces. Like, how have you found all that? Like,
the long lunches of the 90s, it depends on the company, they still continue.
Yeah.
But you'll find that, I mean, things for the shipping industry are very antiquated, very old school.
Male dominated?
Super male dominated. But again, for the women of my age that have grown up with it, you never, it's not a thing. It was never a male female thing. But you would notice, I guess, in a lot of the bigger companies and some of the bigger shipping lines, very male dominated in their boardrooms at the higher level management teams. And for the jobs in which I've done along the way, there's still a lot of females that they're representing as well. But we all bring something different to the mix. And I've always had such a great experience with the men within the industry, and no one's ever knocked me down in that way. But you do find you do find your place, and you do find that, you know, perhaps we're a little bit harder. Some of the women in the industry, we don't take any nonsense. Yeah, I was going to say shit, but
well,
I decided on nonsense. But we're all strong women, and you know, strong personalities within the industry, which is great.
Well, so much just gets spoken about, just about men v women and women v men these days, and it's sort of like you know, like it's someone's got to be wrong for someone to be right. Like, and it's just, I don't know, 2 daughters and a wife and a sister and a mum, and worked for a long time with a lot of females, right? And I'm not saying that there's not mistreatment that's happened over the years, but it's the minority. The vast majority is being people helping each other out and mentoring and, you know, and supporting.
Within this industry especially, the people that I've come across myself have always been really good in that regard, and most of the time people are willing to speak about things and help you out. Commercially sensitive stuff is always a little bit difficult, right? But if you speak on generality, you'll find that most people will help you out with that problem that you've got without exposing, you know, any of their commercially sensitive things, which is fine. And that's how we all kind of work. We all kind of band together in that way. Yeah.
And it's not to say that there wouldn't be dickhead blokes or dickhead women, right?
Absolutely. But that's exactly right. It goes both ways.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You know, and it's, I don't know, like, it just doesn't get spoken. I know Cherie and I've spoken about this a little bit because she feels a little bit the same.
Yeah,
it's been a very positive experience, and it's been nothing but, you know, men helping her out along her journey, you know, and all that sort of thing. Which is how it should be.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And vice versa.
Cherie and I actually spoke about that yesterday, and we sort of said the same thing. It's just, for us, and again, I can't talk for every woman in the industry, but for us especially, we've always been treated well.
It's been very welcoming, the experience that you've had.
Yeah, exactly.
I find that topic interesting sometimes.
It's
because
awkward. Nobody wants to say the thing sometimes though, right? Like,
yeah, well, it does. And, we are in a world where, you can't offend anyone, right?
Yeah.
So that means you can't say anything,
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
sometimes.
Exactly.
But it's, it's environments is a big one in workplaces. And by the sounds of it, the environments that you've been in just generally have been great.
Have been
right?
great.
And you don't hear anything about that arcing back to our kids, and talking about career days and things like that. Is like, yeah, you could be, I want to be a physio. Yeah, but you go into a business, the environment is terrible.
Yeah.
The boss is an idiot and, you have a terrible time. Well, it's not really the physio.
Exactly.
The profession as such, it's the environment that you've got to. And I think you figure that out. And I don't know if you felt this, but that was one of the reasons why I wanted to sort of do something myself, is you get to an age where I don't know whether it is you get a chip on your shoulder a little bit more, or you don't want to take crap anymore.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's just like you can see things that are just blatantly not right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't align anymore. And you want to, okay, well, how can I do something? Do I roll the dice and go to another environment and see
That's
how it is?
exactly right.
Or do I put my money where my mouth is and give it a shot and see how it goes?
Yeah. I went for the latter of those two. But you're right. You never know what you're walking into, right? You go through an interview process at any company and everyone's on their best behavior, right? You walk through the door. We've all seen the memes on, Instagram and whatnot of how this all works. And then you go to a company and then it all goes to shit not long afterwards, right? So, yeah, you're right. The only way that you can avoid that happening is by doing it yourself, right?
Yeah. How do you know with your business how it's going? Like, have you got, I suppose, goals or different things that you want to hit, or is it more so you're focusing on just, building your client base and then that will look after itself?
Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment is building the client base and getting those core clients through. Yeah. For me, it's not really been about the figures. It's just more about the assistance and the clientele mix that you're keeping is also quite important as well. Shipping, and like I said before, for freight forwarding, it's sometimes for some clients it comes down to the dollar, right? And that's kind of not the client that we're looking for. We're looking for someone that really needs the assistance and
good service.
Good service, exactly right. Yeah. Everyone wants good service and don't want to pay for it, but sometimes you have to pay for it. Right? Yeah.
Well, it's hard because it's like you don't really know sometimes like how it's going, and you get a lot of people who ask, right? Which is lovely, and I'm sure they mean well most of the times, right? But how's your business going? And it's like, oh Jesus, I don't know. Like I'm
good,
working hard. I've got lots on my mind. This didn't work out, because that's one thing that you find. And again, I come back to the perimenopause thing is that, I've wife, similar age, going through the same sort of struggles, but optimism doesn't improve when you get perimenopause. Sleep doesn't necessarily improve when you get perimenopause, right? And running a business and having continual knockbacks of, I think I'll get this client, or I think this will work out, or I've got this idea and I'm sure it will work and it doesn't work, like all these little things, dealing with that.
I haven't slept for weeks, it feels, and I can't tell whether it's the hormones or the business.
Yeah.
It's lovely people asking the question, and it's very difficult to know what the right answer is. You don't want to be too full of yourself and go, oh, it's fantastic, we're rolling in it, but you also don't want to go, well, it's a little bit slow. It's sort of it's like when people used to ask you, is your kid sleeping through the night? And you're like, yes, my kid's sleeping through the night. You don't want to be that parent, but again, it's one of those things where you just go, well, what is the right answer, right? It's been 6 weeks. That's what I kind of say to people. It's been 6 weeks. You're starting from something scratch. We've got computer systems that have got no information in it that we've got to input all the information in. We're learning different systems for accounting. I'm learning how to pay wages, which I've never had to do before. So it's all these little bits and pieces that all fit into the jigsaw that I've never had to do before. And at 46, my patience is also it's wearing a little bit thin for different things. That's it, exactly. I'm losing that as well. So it is trying to find that balance. And you sort of go, well, I started a business because I wanted a bit more work-life balance, but now I'm working more. And people go, well, you're going to be working more for your business because it's the first 6 months. I got told the first 6 months were going to be the hardest, and after 6 months you'll be fine.
Yeah,
but you've got another spin on that.
I think it's all relative too, because what does it actually mean, right? Like it's all relative. It's like a business could have like if you think about it, could have the best business plan or idea, you know, but it won't cease to exist or because that wasn't good. It will cease to exist because, I don't know, financial pressures possibly.
Sure.
Hey, it's not working. I need to feed my kids. So I need to maybe stop this and go back to, but hey, if I kept it that for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, maybe it does work. Like it's, you know, how do you know with that sort of stuff?
Very
right?
hard to measure.
A little bit, you know, like I sort of find that, okay, well, tracking, you know, firstly, it's easy to forget. It's like you've gone from nothing existed, and now you have regular income coming in.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. And, you know, and if that's all it ends up to be, fantastic. You know, at least you gave it a shot.
But like you say, it's starting from literally nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you think that for shipping as well, some of the lead times and the lag times for things, you know, if you're booking a container from the USA, it's 6 weeks before it gets here, maybe even 7, possibly 8, depending on which route it takes. So, you know, even though you've got these bookings in place, they're not going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're not going to be here tomorrow. And that's very difficult too. And we touched before on the Middle East crisis. We opened the doors to this company 3 days after the Middle East crisis began. Now that's, you know, people go, that wasn't good timing, was it? I guess there was no backsies at that point, was there? I mean, it was happening whether we liked it or not.
Yeah.
And
thanks for the pointless comment. You know, like it's, I didn't do it knowing this.
Exactly right. So it was like, oh, you know, yes, not great timing, but you've got to get on with it, right? You've got to work with it. Exactly right. It's never good timing, I think.
Well, it might be better. Who knows?
Exactly right. Exactly right. That's very
no,
true.
but it's a hard one because you like you said, you don't want to be full of yourself, but you also don't want to give a negative viewpoint on it because it's easy to have a negative viewpoint on it because there's lots of things that don't pan out. How have you found like learning all that stuff, all that, you know, payroll and setting up, you know, all the business stuff? Like, have you enjoyed sort of that?
No,
not
at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You know, we went from, I don't know about you, again, it's we draw some similarities somewhere, but, you know, trying to find a company name. Like, trying to find a company name was like trying to name my children. Everyone had an opinion on that as well. So that was very difficult. And then your doubts in your mind about what you've called your company. And then it was logos. Oh, good gosh, logos, colours. And there's all these brand identity kits that you've got to go through and brand identities that you've got to go through. And then it's the website. And then what do you want on the website? And then what do you got? And it was so many things that you're just like, oh my God, I just want to do the job, right? I just want to do the job. So there was a lot of things surrounding starting the company that I found personally quite difficult because I just wanted to get in and start doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never done payroll tax. Why are we paying payroll tax when we're already paying tax? I don't understand this one.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're working out the superannuation side of things. So luckily for me, I've got quite a good accountant that he's helped me through it a lot, and he's quite personable and he's quite knowledgeable, and I'm just going, I don't know how to do any of this. I can do this bit and then can you help me with this? And he's helped me along the way. But I'm starting to learn now myself.
Yeah.
And it's starting to click.
Oh,
which
cool.
is concerning because, again,
it must be fun though. Like,
I don't think it's fun. It's not fun. It's not fun. Your idea of fun and my idea of fun, very different, Dan. Very different. But no, it is encouraging, I guess, for me that it's starting to click. And I'm like, what? Yeah. Like, just trying to work on that side of things has always been difficult. The job itself, the thing that you want to do, I've done for the 30 years, but it's all these other things that I've never done before that are coming into the mix that are coming into that. But,
well, I reckon it's good on you for putting yourself out of your comfort zone and doing that stuff. Because I think it's, I don't know, like it would be very easy for you just to stick in, you know, in a cushy job, let's say.
Yeah.
But stick in a job with no risk and all that sort of stuff and be in a position where you can do things with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
And probably have a better work-life balance.
Absolutely. People keep telling me no risk,
asleep.
no reward, but it's like, it's a long way. Yeah, but all of that's a long way off, right? Yeah.
But, you know, like in the end, it's like, you don't want to be sitting around going, well, I had this opportunity and I actually turned it down because I was doubting myself or I didn't know about it or I just was a bit risk adverse.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like how great that you've given it a shot. You know,
yeah.
like that's a fantastic thing.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like I said, early days, my voice will go up.
Yeah.
But yeah, for now we're doing really good, and we're enjoying it. We're enjoying the process, and we're enjoying the helping people part of things, and getting on with it.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a great success, Amanda. Like if you think about listening to your talk, it's all about those relationships around the industry, and you've got those, and you're not a pushy car salesperson, and you're going to build client base based on what you're able to do for them, right?
That's right.
Which is fantastic, and by the sounds of it, there's a market there. So. It's
we're excited.
Yeah.
We're excited.
And if worst case scenario happens, it falls in a heap. At least you gave it a shot.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. I've had that being said to me a few times too, and I thought, oh,
yeah,
it's
what are you trying to say?
Yeah, what are you trying to say? yeah. You're trying to give me a hint without giving me a hint.
Well,
but no, that's true.
Well, it's funny you overanalyze those things. Like back to the, how's your business going? It's like, why does it look like it's not going well? Or
have you heard something?
I don't know. Is it not coming across well here? Do they want it not to work? Are they, is this their opportunity to hit me or what? I don't know. It's you overanalyze stuff because I suppose you're putting yourself out there and it means a lot, and you're putting yourself through a lot of stress.
When it's yours, it's very different, right? Like working for companies for all my life. Some things that would happen, I'd be like, I wonder why that's a bother. Now I get it. I get it now. When it's your own money, I get it. Right? Like you do.
Yeah.
It completely changes everything, and it completely changes the way in which I think you feel about the business, and the way in which you spend money for sure, right? And the way in which you handle that. Yeah, it's definitely challenging.
Yeah, it gives you, you were saying, an opportunity to do some things that are different to what you're able to in previous businesses, right? Like with the clientele that you want to support. Yeah. Are there other things that you've sort of found that, you've enjoyed doing it your own way?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I like to do a bit of writing. At the moment, I'm a little bit stunted with time and whatnot. But, like a bit of writing, obviously doing things like this with you, it's, different companies, always have different ways in which they think that this should go. I love to talk. I don't know if you've realised that, and I think we've gone over time. But yeah, I like to talk, and we like to do things like that. You know what I mean? And some companies, I know that you can't really say a lot of things about the company. You can't really say a lot about what you do. And yeah, I think for me, I want to do all the things.
The freedom.
The freedom of being able to do it, and you still got to have in the back of your mind. Of course, you've got to be careful what you say, but still, you're speaking for your own company now. You're speaking for your own choices and the things that you do, and the opportunities that you want to make for yourself. And I think that's super cool to me.
Yeah, well, I think too, just it's culturally, it's more about what who the person is, and not so much about the product. It's sort of, and you think about it from the industry that you're in, it's everything to do with that. Like any business can move some freight around, right? Like, and can do some stuff. So it's the people that you're aligning with that is the key.
And you're dealing with as well. So that's the building that trust. It's that, the person understanding how you work and you understanding how they work as well. It's very important.
With like movements of freight, you were talking before about containers coming from the US and differently. Do you guys have to outlay money for that sort of stuff? Is that part of it? Yeah. So you've got to outlay money as a freight forwarder, and then wait for, I suppose, the invoice to then be paid. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of outlaying that goes on with freight forwarders. So there's not only the freight rates, it's the local charges too, and then of course it's the duties as well. So sometimes the bigger importers would use a freight forwarder as more of like a bank, right? So they, the freight forwarders paid out these monies to get their container. They've got their container, and then they'll pay the freight forwarder in 60 days or 30 days or whatever the terms are. So that can be difficult. The cash flow can be difficult. If you don't know the person, of course, it's a bit different. You can go with like cash on delivery. So you're not going to get your container till you've paid me. So then they're reimbursing you, of course, to any monies that you've outlaid. So for freight forwarders, the cash flow is very, very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's interesting. Balancing like, and everyone wants their money first. Just in general.
And being a new freight forwarder as well, something that I probably didn't think about too much about. You're dealing with agency networks that are operating all around the world, but because you've got no you've got no standing with them, right? You've got nothing. So it's 100% cash on delivery. I'm not going to give you your
90-day
documents
account,
until you pass me over your money. And that's dealing with international funds. It's dealing with different currencies. It's dealing with the bank and talking about different exchange rates. And that's been a little bit tricky as well. But again, it's part of the course, right? In a year's time, you probably won't think about it because you've done it that many times that it's not a thing that you're doing things for the first time. It's learning those things for the first time and then putting them into practice.
Yeah,
So,
it's fun.
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. So much fun.
How are you balancing then? Like, I probably know the answer, but like your sleep, you were saying before, right? Like you've got a bit going on. How are you sort of finding that and navigating that, like through and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to you right now, right? Like, and you get it in leadership all the time, right? You get people that will go, back in my day, I used to do this, used to do that. And I've had a couple of young leaders on that are in it and they're like, okay, I've just gone from not having a team to now I've got a team. And I don't know what the hell I've got going on here, and you get the raw account of what's going on, right?
Yeah.
But
how were their faces when you were talking to them about
Well, they were great because they were just honest, right? And I think
they were like, everything's fine.
Yeah, well,
fire behind them.
Well, there's so much fear that you have, like simple things, having a hard conversation with someone that you've just been working alongside before, a month ago, I was just working beside them and maybe I used to do the exact same thing that I'm pulling them up for now.
Yeah.
And if I don't have this conversation, what does that mean about me? Am I weak? Am I a bad leader or whatever it is? So all that sort of stuff, like with you conveniently forget about that stuff when you're, 20, 30 years on. I never used to do that. Never.
It's like having children. You forget. It's funny. With me, it's a balancing act. So many balls in the air, right, at any given time. And the mental load, I think, for mothers tends to be quite high. I'm not going to say it's higher than men because we don't want to go down
I think you can.
I don't think we're going to go down that rabbit hole.
No, because
it's a slippery slope.
I'd like to talk about this because I think you can.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't. And again, it's not a male versus female thing by any means. But like you look at a comparison, like I know that I am a lot more optimistic and blasé about stuff than what my wife is.
She's thinking about 50 different things at once. All those tabs are open, and any conversation she's having with you probably right now, she's probably thinking about 50 other things that she has to do. What's for dinner? Have the kids got lunches for school?
Correct.
All of those things.
And from my point of view, I've just got faith that things will work out, right? And she would look at me.
And they do.
And she would look at me and go, you're living in a dream world, mate. Like, what are you doing? And I'm looking at her going, Jesus, what are you stressing about everything for? Like, how's that working out for you,
She's plotting how to smother you at night.
I keep waking up with odd things happen to me and gasping for breath.
I get up early, right? So you got to make time. Everyone's got the same 24 hours in a day, right? And I find that getting up early works better for me. I find that's quiet time in the morning, and I get up and do some things in the morning. So generally, I will get up in the morning and. It sounds so sad. I check the shipping news, right? So those that know me know that I really enjoy keeping up to date with all the things that are going on with shipping. And LinkedIn's my way of communicating with people, and I really enjoy that. And I find things super interesting about the industry, and I like to share those things with others. And that's how the whole LinkedIn thing came about for me. But it just means that in the morning I'm getting up at 3:30 in the morning, and it's insane for most people that I get up that early, but it's just what works for me. Yeah. And I do that for, an hour and a half, and then I go swimming, right? So I'm a swimmer. You like to run, I like to swim. Yeah. And I find to me that's relaxing. That's my me time, right? Mm-hmm. There's no phones, there's no emails. The kids aren't there. They're usually at home sleeping. It's just me and the tiles at the bottom of the pool, just going through those motions. And that's the time in the morning that I really enjoy. I really enjoy that tight sort of separation of tasks. But then, of course, it is you are swimming and you're doing laps and you're thinking about all the things you've got to do, right? That to-do list is running through your head. It's hard because you've also got the other part of it's not just the business, it's the children as well. Yeah. And it's how they're going and what they're doing today and school holidays at the moment and, how they're going to fill their day and what are they up to and what do they need. and that thing's happening on the weekend. I need to make sure there's presents for that kid's party on the weekend. That have they got this? Have they got that? Have I booked that thing? I haven't booked that thing. You know, and you'll find that for me and for some mothers that I talk to, they're the ones that get left behind, right? They're the ones that are last. And they don't often find time for themselves to book that appointment. But I've booked my kid's appointment. I've taken her to that appointment, but I haven't taken myself. But, you know, there's that along the way. So I think that for me, like, back to the first question was, I get up early.
That
but,
routine.
But come 7 o'clock at night, I'm rat shit. You don't want to talk to me. Right? I'm asleep on the lounge when my kid's rewinding things because I've missed something on the TV, and by the time I've rewound it, I've fallen asleep again. But it's that constant flow. I said to someone the other day, I don't want to. It's been a habit of mine, and probably a bad habit, that I've gotten up so early for so long that now it's inbred in me. Now I wake up at 3:10 without the alarm, and I'm just going, should I just get up now? You know, and it's a terrible thing, but hopefully one day I won't be waking up at that time.
Yeah. Well,
and I can get into more of a routine to not do that, because it probably is not as healthy as what it should be. I should be enough time during the day to do things, but I find front loading the beginning is much easier for me.
Well, what do you like without that? You know, like
You're chasing a tail.
Yeah.
Right? Because by the time that most people come online to work and the clients start calling, you think that you should have done, well, what I would normally do at 3:30, I haven't done now. And then I'm chasing my tail through the whole day.
You're in this stress state, like I'm busy, like I'm racing in traffic all day long, but not really getting any further than anyone else.
You're riding into the headwind, right? You're riding into that headwind constantly. Yeah. And I find that I'm more settled at the beginning of the day. And if you try and get those things set in place and get them done, then you're not thinking about them. You spend sometimes, you get those tasks that you do, right? That are just such a small task. It take you 5 minutes, but you didn't do it. And then it's in your mind and you're constantly thinking about that thing that you didn't do. Then you finally do it and you're like, that relief. It took you 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do it?
About?
Why didn't you do it at the beginning of the day so you didn't have that stress constantly coming at you? So it's all about that balance, but I find that beginning of the day is better for me. I find that some people are night owls, right? I don't know how they do that, but they don't know how I can do the beginning of the day.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone's different, right? And you don't want to end up preaching to people about, you know, what works for you, right? But, you know, like people who say that they're not morning people, right?
Are you a morning person?
Yes.
You are.
And relate a lot with what you're talking about is that having a base at the start of the day where you're getting a sweat up, you're doing some exercise, right? You're thinking about stuff, you know, whether that is listening to a podcast or thinking about what you want to do in your day and plan that out. I find that I am so much better to be able to absorb stress throughout the day that I know that's going to come with, you know, having teenagers and a business.
All the things.
That when I don't have that, I'm cranky.
Yeah.
And I can't absorb stuff and it's not good. And I turn into a version of myself that I don't necessarily like.
No.
So that morning period is really important. But like I said, I find it really beneficial. You find it very beneficial, and you don't want to necessarily preach to people, but, you know, I could sleep in. I do it because there's a purpose. It's not because, hey, I want a badge of honor that I get up at 3 or 3:30 or 4 or 4:30.
Here's a picture of me at 3:30 in the morning.
And I think people, you know, like a Jocko Willink who takes a photo and posts of his watch 4:30 every morning. It probably doesn't necessarily, you know, it is helpful, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not all helpful. You know, like people will look at that and go, oh yeah, righto, hero, you know.
Yeah, hero, exactly right.
Yeah, but it's...
Can you sleep in?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
My body won't let me.
Yeah, I can, but like a sleep in compared to, you know, normally 4:30 is normally like 6 or something like that, right? So it's not extravagant, but I try not to do that because I feel worse with it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm mindful of how much sleep I get too. So, you know, and you were related is that, yeah, you're wrecked at the end of the day, but if you've got things you still want to get done and then you ended up, you know, if you're just spending time with your kids or your partner or whatever, and it's 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then you're getting up at 3 or 4 o'clock.
No,
well,
yeah. You can't
burn it.
Yeah, you can't do it. So for me, I'm usually in bed by 8:30. It's the only way I can do it. It's the only way you can maintain it. But even then, I still don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough quality of sleep personally for my for getting older as well. I think that's part of it too. Is that I probably need better quality sleep and perhaps a little bit longer, but it's what it is for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just there's just so many benefits of it. And like I said, I don't want to come across like I'm preaching to
No.
people, but I think if, people are saying that you're not a morning person, it's just like, well, yeah, give it a go and see. And I'm sure after a week you probably won't find it as hard as what you did on the first day. Like
Yeah, it's true.
And maybe see some benefits there. But, you're getting up, you're exercising, and if you left that to the end of the day,
Oh, you wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it. I even if I do say that I'm going to do it at the end of the day, usually I don't. I think it can work both ways, right? So from what I can tell from most people, it's quite polarizing, right? Either you are a morning person or you just completely hate it. People that are up till midnight, I look at people and go, how can you be up till midnight? And they're like, how can you not be? It's the greatest time when the kids are in bed. We can watch some shows. We can, and it's that time. And I'm like, no. That time's at the beginning of the day. That to me, the beginning of the day has so much more opportunity. I feel like, you're quite optimistic at that time in the morning.
Yeah.
The day hasn't gone to complete crap by that time. You're it's going to be a great day.
Well, you just, you're thinking about more so what you dreamt and a little bit of what happened yesterday, not so much in the afternoon about everything that's happened and gone wrong. And we are wired to think of the one thing that went wrong compared to the other 9 that was perfect, right? And we focus in on that. But no, it's just funny. But it's like, staying up late is sort of like that self-fulfilling prophecy of, I go to bed at midnight. Yeah, well, of course you're going to want to sleep in and not be an early morning person.
Yeah.
If you're going to bed at midnight, like I wouldn't want to get up early either. Maybe if you went to bed at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and you might be a bit better.
With Fat Cat. That's what I like to go to bed when Fat Cat goes to bed.
That balance though of like being a mum, and a career, things going through your head all the time. Am I balancing this right? Juggling it all? The guilt that you feel from time to time of, hey, I'm maybe not doing the best by my employer because I have family things, or hey, am I doing the right thing by my kids because I've got an employer? Like, I don't know. How have you found all that?
I think by now my kids are one's 18 this year, one's 13. I've kind of come to peace with it, right? You're always going to feel guilty for something, right? Not going to that event or for work, or not going to that event for that child. I think that now my kids are at the point where they understand that sometimes work will come first. And now for me, for working for myself, I do try and balance that out and make sure that I'm there for the kids too. It's hard, and it always has been hard. I've always been a working mother. Some women want to stay at home, whereas I'd never really thought of it as a career, but I guess you can call it a career. For me, it was always about work, and that's what I wanted to do. Yep. And I don't know whether that's come from watching my parents work for so many years. I'm not too sure where that's come from, but it's always been that drive in me.
That's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work, and I wanted to have the kids too. And the kids are, like I said, wonderful, but it does come with that challenging level of guilt that all mothers, I think, will feel, and probably all fathers too, I'd imagine, in that way. I don't think your guilt is any less than my guilt. Is it?
Guilt, what do you mean?
I'm guilt-free. My wife's wearing all the guilt. But it is that juggle.
Well, there's probably the guilt, Amanda, of how I've got children, right? And yes, that's very important to me. And what the greatest thing that you'll do, right, is be responsible for some little humans, right? And prepare them for the world. But is that it?
Yeah, I always said the same thing. Is that all I got?
Yeah. And is this all I am now? And I know that sounds selfish to a certain degree. You could look at it in that way, but like, why can't you do both? And balance both? And that's hard. I know I haven't got it right with balancing that right. You want to do really well and have high standards and put in a lot of work ethic, and that's at the expense of something sometimes, and then you recorrect, and then you feel terrible because you're not doing as well here. Like, it's just the guilt, I think, is sometimes that is, okay, well, is that right? Sometimes, but
I've kind of got to the point where I just feel like you're doing the best you can, right? It's a balancing act, and someone's always going to lose, right? And I find that I personally sacrifice more of my own time rather than sacrificing children's time. So I kind of don't want to sound like I'm beating myself up, but you kind of put it back on yourself a bit, like, right? So you'll miss out on something that you wanted to do to make sure that everything else is happy and everything else is even.
Well, you said it before yourself, is that you neglect yourself because there's other things that are the priority.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And there's other balls in the air that need more attention in your own mind than yourself. Yeah.
Which in the end, I suppose you could look at it longer term, is you end up neglecting the people that you're neglecting yourself for, because you're not caring for yourself, right?
It's a vicious cycle.
It is,
a vicious cycle.
Like a really common thing, right, that people go through, and it's great that you can be so open about that, because it's I don't know, like we all feel it, and particularly for mothers, you know, like that guilt thing can be really hard. Having a career, am I allowed to do that? Am I viewed wrong for doing that? Or hey, can I be a stay-at-home mother and just not have a career? Yeah, of course, you know. But,
absolutely.
It's hard, and I've just found from a male perspective is, okay, well, you know, you got dreams in life, and like, well, what do my dreams stop now that I've got a couple of kids, or should I still continue following some dreams and push myself and do different things? Which is a great example to set for your children as well.
And that's exactly right. It can go either way, right? I've also got the added little of guilt as well, because I left the family home, right? And when you add that on top of it, you're a working mother and you left the family home. Yes, you know, you have your children, you know, when you have your children, you know, they go back and forth. But it's that other, I left the family home. I left them, but again, it's that other level of guilt that you've got to be, like you say, you want them to see that you're a strong, independent woman, but you've also got that other part of it as well, which is really, really tricky. Yeah. And again, you talk about what you want out of life, and you're right. Once the kids get old and they go and live their own life, then what? You know, you don't want to be. I wouldn't want to wanted to be a stay-at-home mother to go, my kids have left now, and now what? Yeah. And then starting again at 50 or 51, 52, whenever they decide that they want to leave, which maybe never, given the price of housing at the moment. Yeah. But it's funny. I had a really fantastic experience one day. It's probably not going to go where you think it's going. And I went down and I managed to get on board a ship, one of the container ships. And I said to someone, it was the best day of my life. And they went, you can't say that. I went, why not? I said, you've got children. And I went, yeah. And when they were born, that should have been the best day of your life. And I went, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know that was a thing, but it's a thing. So again, it's polarizing. I think you'll find that it's different for some people versus others. And I don't know whether it's an upbringing or not, whether their mum stayed at home and looked after the house, whether that was a thing, or whether their dad did, or probably not in those days. But, you know, I think that nobody makes the choice to be put in that position. It's just that how we are, and it's just how we react. You do your best, right? Nobody wants to go, oh my God, I'm going to feel guilty about that. But we all have that feeling inside of us. I think we're all just doing our best.
Well, the societal pressures, you know, like when you were sort of starting your career, right? It's like, you know, now it's you can have a career and be a mum, and it's pretty normal. It's very normal. It's probably more normal than ever before, right? But you know, there was probably still the old school approach of stay-at-home mums, and then this new thing of working and having a career, and you know, navigating that. Like, how do you know, what it is? Yeah.
But you had that difference. So school drop-off, and you would have done that a handful of times, I'm sure. School drop-off is always...
No,
no, that was a compliment.
For a dad.
For a man. No, what I meant was, you found that as a woman, you'd go in and you'd drop your kids off, and there was those mums that were hanging around, having a great chat, and there was always a handful of mothers, and I know this will resonate with those mothers, that were on their phone, that were on their email in the corner, that were not intentionally ignoring their children, but you know they were juggling 500 other things whilst trying to say goodbye to their kid. And my kids have seen it for so long. They've been in the car when I've had conversations with clients. They've been on the car when I've been trying to sort out problems. And it's kind of what they know now, right? Yeah, they haven't, it's not like this just happened, and, they've been alive for 13 years and this has just begun. Like they've seen that. They've seen, many hours sitting at the computer, like much like all those phone calls that you're taking hushed in the corner at someone's birthday party because something's gone wrong. Yeah. They've seen that along the way. But you find that, it was quite polarizing in the very beginning because some of the mothers you'd get that stigma of, oh my God, she's she never hangs around and talks, and it's like she's always dressed for work and rushing off, whereas everyone else is in their leisure wear. Yeah, it's a very difficult.
Oh, and even if they weren't thinking that, Amanda, you're probably thinking that they were anyway, right? Like it's again that whole that guilt thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's hard to navigate it all, isn't it? Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. But we go back to, we're all doing the best we can. We talk about leadership, not always having a rule book or a standard operating procedure on how you lead people. It's the same with life, right? We're all just doing our best, and we've all only got what we saw our parents do or our grandparents do to go back on, right? And I watched them do what they did. I watched my grandparents do what they did. And you're kind of going, well, I don't want to be like that, but and this is what I'm going to do instead. And whether it's right or wrong, you're muddling along with it in the way, right?
Figure it out.
That's what we're figuring out.
Yeah.
It's very life's very hard, and it doesn't come with that. Doesn't come with that standard operating procedure of how to do it.
Well, you get the stigmas as well, just on internally with an age thing too, right? Like should you be starting a business? Should you still be playing sport? Should you still be doing different things? That maybe younger people historically only do. Why can't I?
That's true. Sometimes you can't though. Yesterday, I may or may not have fallen off my bike. It was stationary. I was getting off it and I fell.
Oh,
but okay. Is that even worse?
Done the Joe Biden look or something.
Did Joe Biden do that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I was getting off my bike and my foot got caught and I fell and falling over as an adult is very hard to put myself up again. But again, you do think about those things that you maybe, should I be on a bike at 46? Why shouldn't I be on a bike at 46? I didn't fall off last week, so this week should be okay. Apparently not. Apparently not.
That's good. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, Amanda. I really appreciate your honesty about it, particularly for people who are thinking about possibly getting into doing their own business or have had it on their mind for a while, right?
Just do it.
Yeah,
Mikey, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just take that leap for me. Just take that leap.
Yeah.
You'll figure out the rest along the way.
Well, the fear of, what if it fails? Like, who cares? Just, give it a go and see what happens. And
exactly. Hopefully someone will employ me after that.
Yeah.
But you're right. Exactly right.
Well, I reckon you'd find it hard working for someone else. Like, I have this thought, right? If, I was to go back and work for someone else, could I really do that? Could I really work for someone else again?
That's true.
Not sure. But anyway, it's been a pleasure. End-to-End Logistics. We'll put all your details in the show notes. And I'm sure it's going to be a success. And you've got so much experience within within that freight forwarding community and industry. So, I'm sure it's going to be a massive success. So.
Thank you. Ask me in a few months again. I'll talk about soon.
Follow the journey. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Which is part of the fun. So.
Thank you,
That's
Daniel.
good.
Nice talking to you.
Likewise.
Ciao.